I choose. Welcome Pokemon trainers and or friends, family, fans of art. I don't know why you're watching this video, but today we are drawing Pokemon. To be more specific, we are drawing 6 Pokemon of my dream team, and we are not only drawing Pokemon, we're going to make them as scary as possible. If you don't know what Pokemon means, it literally means pocket monsters. We are going to go more for the monster and less for the pocket. So let's get started.
Hogge Arts. Who's that Pokemon?
My first Pokemon love, Generation 1. I actually chose Pidgeot as my first one. It's such a simple concept. It's a bird with a long mane, and I just thought this is probably going to be the least scariest out of the creatures I chose. But to get us started, I am using a 0.5 liner just to get in my lines. When creating this piece, I did want to accentuate his little face design, so he kind of has like a mask, and he really just ended up turning into this RPG boss. Like, he should have a life bar. When we defeat him, he should probably give us a lot of treasure too. Anytime I use my markers or like my ink or whatever, I always draw with a pencil or a draft pencil of some sort, just because it's unforgiving if you mess up with a liner. So once I get my monster design, I go over with my fine liners and I just get the picture down how I want it and then erase my original lines. A little bit of my process, the way I draw these characters and things, even the original Pokemon, I did use several materials, mixed media, from Prismacolour to alcohol markers. And this does 2 things for me. It gives me texture, and it also lets me blend differently other than just using like an alcohol marker. And what originally got me started on this is because, well, alcohol markers are really expensive. So in that fact, I found my own style, and I jump in between Prismacolor, color pencils, and then my off-brand alcohol markers until I'm really satisfied with the way it looks. And if you want to tackle my style, I always recommend Prismacolor color pencils. They blend extremely well, but on a side note, if you do buy them, remember they are super fragile, so have a hand sharpener. Electric sharpeners will eat these pencils up. Even dropping these pencils will sometimes break the insides of them, so as you sharpen them, they just break off as you sharpen them. But that's really the only downfall to this. But seriously, if you want to get into colored drawing, I do recommend Prismacolors because they're awesome. Anyway, getting back to my drawing, I do use pale colors and like dull colors just because when you're doing something creepy or scary, it's not going to be vibrant like, you know, cartoon Pokemon. So my giant RPG monster bird Pidgeot has a lot of dull colors, and I go in with colored pencils to really dumb down even the alcohol markers because they're very intimidating and bright when I use them. The only real bright color that I use is on his mane, which is that red right there. But after I'm satisfied with all my dark colors and laying down all my other color, I go in with a jelly roll and I put highlights and either retrace with my 0.5 liner or a larger liner or even a brush tipped like alcohol marker or illustration marker. So here's my monster Pidgeot compared to this. So I would say that that was a success. Let's see if we can get even scarier with our next Pokemon. Out of all the Pokemon starters on Pokemon, I would definitely choose Turtwig as my starter. If I had to choose out of all the starters, my original would probably be Bulbasaur or Squirtle. I'm not a huge Charizard fan. It's kind of basic because everyone chose fire types for the longest time. And it's kind of a trend, but I like my turtles, so Squirtle Squirt. I really think I'm getting the hang of this because this one was so much easier. I basically just zombified this little Turtwig, and he has like a broken branch, a little dying leaf, and all his attributes, I gave him like little warty spots and gnarly teeth, and just a lot came together with this piece, down to like little details of moss growing on his shell and moss dripping down from his face. But working with the turtle design, I do think that this was just easier to make like a scary looking creature out of it, just because if you ever seen a turtle in real life, there's some pretty terrifying turtles. inspired by other turtles. I kind of use that swampy green color that they have. That goes back to using colors that aren't so vibrant. I mean, Turtwig is this very pale green and it's kind of weird color, but this one that I made into a monster is very grotesque and like a pukey, gross, snotty green. And that's really what brought this monster to life. And the only reason I really chose Turtwig is because he's really cute, and I thought it'd be harder to make him into a scary monster, but I actually think it was easier just because he's so cute. There's plenty of things that you can do to really spookify or monsterify a little cute turtle like that. My real choice would have been Torterra, but if you watched Detective Pikachu, they did a pretty bang-up job of making terrifying Torterras. They were islands. I'm not gonna spoiler anything, but they were pretty terrifying. I'm actually really enjoying this, guys. This is my monster Turtwig. And then his counterpart, there he is. I would say this one is much more successful than the last one. So we're actually getting some cool monsters. Let's see what number 3 has in store for us. This Pokeball has like a disco light in it. And the next one is Aegislash. I don't know what's with Pokemon lately, but they've been making a lot of night-themed Pokemon, and I have absolutely no problem with it because I love it. Aegislash has like the Celtic design. It has the Trinity, and it's just a sword that's a ghost. And naturally, I had to be a little playful with some of my poses. Like the Turtwig was waving. This one's giving us peace up, A-town down. I think going into these, I get more and more creative. This one I kind of went off the description of like when a wielder grabs this Pokemon, it drains the life out of them. So I thought of kind of a parasite. That's what I went off of with this. I made a shield that's almost heart-shaped, and then he has his tentacles coming down the bottom, kind of like this gross worm that would devour whoever it came near. And to make him even more monstrous, I gave his arms like this muscle tissue and like below the eye. So I'm going to add like very fleshy colors as they attach. His base, like right here, I'm going to give like a very tanned look. So he has almost like a spotted look, like a squid or some kind of sea urchin. As I do this, I feel like I can get more attributes towards like monsters and things because I'm thinking less Pokemon and more like monsters. So 3 Pokemon in, and I feel like they're just becoming more and more monstrous. I will say that it was a challenge just because this is a ghost Pokemon. I feel like I have a very serious Pokemon, so I have to amp up the monster. Like with the Turtwig, I chose him because he was cute and I thought it'd be harder, but I feel like the more serious Pokemon are harder to turn into monsters. So I feel like I amped up this Pokemon just with like the muscle tissues, the wormy things coming out of him, and his shield I added very fleshy tones, kind of like it's an organ or something that he's holding to make it look even scarier. But again, we did use very dark tones and things to bring in that monster effect. So if you do plan to do monsters, always use like colors and things that are darker, dimmer, muddier, like grungy looking. And if you haven't noticed, something that I have been doing with these is I put a shadow below them, and that's just to give them like a ground, so it looks like they're somewhere, not just on this white piece of paper, separate entity. It looks like they're actually standing there. And when I compare them to their counterparts have a shadow too, so even though they're on separate pieces of paper, they look like they belong with each other. This one came out so good. I just think the more I do these, the better I'm getting. But here is the monster and his counterpart. So these are looking really scary. I am so happy with how this is coming out. Go ahead and tell me in the comments what Pokemon you would turn into a monster. But that is all for today's video. We are going to complete the next 3 monsters this weekend, so be sure to tune in to see the rest of my monster Pokemon team. If you are enjoying this video, be sure to subscribe and share with your friends. But we should have videos on each side of me to click on of other art videos that I have done. Hopefully you enjoy those too. And after I post this weekend, there will be a video of the Pokemon continued right here. If you cannot find it there after this weekend, it will be down below in the description. Stay safe, art fam. See you later.